Hello and welcome to Enter the PC. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about why you should stop hating yourself and start buying AMD. Now I'm not talking about stocks and all that crap because AMD stock goes up, then it goes down and blah blah blah, then Intel goes up and it goes down. Who the heck cares? It doesn't matter. I'm talking about actually buying the products and supporting AMD or companies that create and encourage innovation. Okay? This is very important because recently at Computex 2018, Intel demonstrated exactly what they're doing to stifle innovation. Okay? Now, what they did here at Computex was they had a 28-core CPU, and I'm sure maybe you've heard of this already. It made tons of headlines all over the place. But what was found was this 28-core CPU actually they said was 5 gigahertz. Well, it wasn't really 5 gigahertz. It looks like it was 2.7, and it was an enterprise level Xeon or something crazy processor that is not at all something they can actually release to gamers. It was enterprise modified hardware that actually had a chiller on it to get sub-ambient temperatures on the product. Meaning that they basically cooled the crap out of this thing to lie and get very high clock speeds, and the media ate it up. Oh my god, Intel has a 28 core, blah blah blah, 5 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz, first of all, for those of you that don't know, is this wonderful threshold that people want to get to because it's almost like this very odd sort of goal that just can't be reached at the moment. And I'm sure it will eventually, but 4 gigahertz, 3 gigahertz, 4 gigahertz is really where it's at. Now, Intel did that. Very shady, did not tell people that it was overclocked. Just said, here it is, here's a product that could be released in Q3 of 2018. Meanwhile, everyone found out later, because the truth will come out eventually, that it was overclocked, it was not a gaming processor, it was in fact an enterprise level CPU. And if you want to find more on this, there was a wonderful rant and silly video from Gamers Nexus that you can check out as well. But meanwhile, in fact, AMD quietly, in the middle of the show, not even at the beginning, launched a new product, which was a threadripper product that had 32 cores, 64 threads, and it was going to be released for the public, for gamers this year. So they actually had something that was not based in fantasy, that was in reality, and yet all the media clung to this 28-core Intel thing. Intel just knows how to suck up the media, but they lied. So very disappointing. I mean, AMD just says, oh, that's cute. You have a 28-core. That's nice. And didn't say anything. It's like, well, what do you have? What are you packing? Well, I'm packing a 32-core, 64-thread processor that is going to be released this year that has, it is a boost clock of 3.4 gigahertz and regular 3 gigahertz, which is realistic, okay? So one of the reasons that people are so obsessed with higher clock speeds is because so much software is optimized by high clock speeds and wants high clock speeds, whereas cores are not being utilized very well. So the problem with the 28 with a 32 core processor is that you're only really going to see those advantages if maybe you're doing Maya or Blender, like certain 3D rendering programs. Whereas if you're doing like Adobe Premiere or video editing, Photoshop, you're going to just want higher clock speeds, and it's not actually going to take advantage of it. Which brings me to my point, stop hating yourself. Stop hating yourself. Because the software is behind the hardware, which is insane. Software should be light years ahead of hardware. I mean, there's no reason why you can write and code software to do whatever you want. Hardware is a physical limitation. And, from what I've seen, I know that years ago, software was always ahead. And now, for some reason, we've had this bottleneck where software has been lagging because the big companies like Adobe, and I'm not going to say Apple because that's a totally different place. That's like in the land of Oz, okay? I want to stay in reality. So Adobe and some other products, they build their software and they've become complacent, in my opinion. And this is where you need to stop hating yourself and say, okay, what else can I use? There has to be something better. Look beyond the horizon. Stop punishing yourself. Stop staying in this rut and start going somewhere else, because there are better solutions. I've heard from forums people saying, oh, I really like, I'll stay with Adobe probably, but I was thinking of Resolve, which is another program, and I don't even know much about it, but it's a program that does optimize for multi-core use, which that sounds perfect, because the hardware is going toward this multi-core aspect, because there is a natural bottleneck, maybe Moore's Law, who knows, but the CPU core is something that can be done versus this higher clock speed, circa, like 1998 or early 2000s, when it was just clock speeds that were, the biggest thing, 800 megahertz, 900 megahertz, and then they keep going up and up. Well, now it's cores. We're not in this old, archaic view of clock speeds anymore. Now we're at cores of CPUs. And it really takes software innovation to take advantage of that, which is not happening. So it's a bottleneck of the Intel Corporation and the Adobe Corporation and all of them just saying, well, this is good enough. Well, it's not good enough is what I'm saying. So stop hating yourself and start buying companies that actually support innovation, because that will only lead to more innovation. When other companies see, like Tesla is a great example, where people start buying Teslas, and then guess who says, oh crap, you know what, I really have to make better cars now. A GM, all of the big companies now are making electric cars. Why? Because they're losing. And this is what it takes in the computing industry, for all of us to wake up and start buying products that actually help. Sorry, my time's up. Start buying products that can actually affect change, because people fear change. And they stay with things that are not in their best interests. And usually it's due to fear or social acceptance, or maybe it's a social norm. You're just staying with Adobe, you're staying with Intel, well, everybody else is Intel or whatever, or you're afraid. But I'm saying don't be afraid. Stop hating yourself. And this is just a metaphor for something bigger. Because if you're doing this with your computer, you're probably doing it with other stuff too. Take a chance, go with AMD, it's well worth it, and if you can make the change, it'll be better for you. Because Intel is set in their ways. And by the way, Spectre, if you've seen Spectre, there are supposedly 3 more variants of Spectre, not even yet released to the public, according to Steve Gibson of Gibson Research. So if they're not even saying that, and this is in their pipeline for years, probably 2 years, maybe a year if they can really push it, and they should, to fix this, then this is something that Intel's not going to change, you have to change. So go over to AMD. As painful as you think the change might be, not doing the change will be even worse. Now, I'm not to say that, security is an issue, obviously, but there are still good performance, excellent performance from GPUs and Intel and all this. But I'm saying stop hating yourself and go with AMD, really, because in the long run, it's going to be better. AMD's second generation GPUs are already fantastic. They're already accelerated growth and going faster. Now I'm going to have a video coming up on GPUs and particularly why certain games are worse on AMD. And that's just a fact right now. But they're going to get better, and it's just a matter of time. In fact, they're already improving. And with Vulkan, okay, I'm going to go into that later. You'll see. But remember, being comfortable is the enemy of change. So if you're seeing this and you're sick of it and you're saying Adobe's not working where it should be, if you're having low render times and all this stuff, look at AMD, look at other products. You probably left Apple years ago, maybe from Final Cut to Premiere, because there were issues with Final Cut and Apple just not taking care of their customers and not caring about the Final Cut product. And then if you look at Adobe Premiere, it was nice because there was some cost savings there, and it was being optimized for a while. Well, now they've cannibalized that, and they're getting complacent. So go to the next one. There's other products out there, and these learning curves aren't very hard. You know, you can, but you should switch. You shouldn't be totally comfortable in that way. You should be improving yourself, making yourself better. So, anyways, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. And please like the video. It really helps me out. And subscribe. I really appreciate that. If you have any comments or questions, if you like what I said, didn't like, then just post below. I love hearing it, and it makes the community stronger. So until then,